All right, folks, it's another midweek in the life of the world. It's September the 26th, and from our humble hangout here in Lagos, Southwest Nigeria, we welcome you one and all to the program. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Today, APC National Working Committee dissolves Adamawa State Executive Council, OK's direct primaries for Ogun, Lagos, Kano, Imo, and Akwa Ibom states, and so on. NLC tells workers to begin strike, warning strike I should add, on Thursday over minimum wage. And later this one, CBN warns that Nigeria's exit from economic recession is under threat, kicks against country's rising debt stock. I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Change the name to Ibibio name. It makes it easier for me, but it's all right. But welcome, Jide. Come on. Then we have Dare Udufor. Dare, welcome. Somebody talks about your glasses. I said, yeah, you see better when you are in them. Welcome. And then there's Emeka Madunagu.
Good evening, viewers.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Okay, so the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, then, let's go. Ahead of Saturday's advertised primary election in Adamawa State, the National Working Committee, NWC, of the APC has barred the state executive committee members from taking part, either as delegates or umpires. Tells me there's a lot of firefighting to do in Adamawa APC. Meanwhile, the NWC has okayed the direct primary model for governorship tickets in the following states: Ogun, Lagos, Kano, Imo, Akwa Ibom. To quickly add that some states, inclusive of Ogun, the same Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Imo, and Bauchi, had previously elected to go the indirect primary way before the latest counter directive. I'm tempted to say that in politics, sunny days and rainy days change very fast. But then, let's take you back to last Tuesday on this program, September the 18th to be exact, and hear the verdict when the Adamawa APC question formed part of the discussion. Watch this.
Now, see if they sat back, they were happy with the emergence of an ESCO put together in crooked fashion. So the truth is, if they go ahead now, they must do something about this. Otherwise, the party should be ready for an implosion. Already, many people have left the APC. I mean, the APC in Adama to form the ADC. Yeah. In fact, if you see the collection of forms, will show clearly that so many people have left for the ADC because there was real competition for ADC forms in Adama State. That's a pointer. So if they allow this to continue, then things can only get worse. There is the Constitution, the party was right in saying, look, decide what is best, because the Constitution of the party allows for consensus, allows for direct, and allows for indirect. So it will be irresponsible of the party to say, no, everybody must do direct, because they will point at the Constitution that permits them to also yes. So what they now said is, okay, we direct primaries, this is what we want. But where you cannot do direct primaries, there has to be unanimity. Everyone must agree. And Oshomole said, if some of the stakeholders, if some of the people contesting say they do not agree with your consensus agreement or your indirect resolution to go for indirect, then we will have no choice to cancel the process and then organize direct primaries. That is the situation that's the situation that we have on ground. And I'm confident that if Oshomole will live up to his reputation, that is what he will do in Adamawa State. No governor is a god. Although in Nigeria, some governors behave like God with the small letter G. They do not, what governors do in Nigeria is not done anywhere else, where you start treating your subjects like you created them. No. You now say, oh no, this one can't go to the National Assembly this time. I'm bringing this one. Yeah. If you want to do that, politics is an inclusive sport. Get people to agree with you. So if you can't get people to agree with you and you are taking decisions single-handedly, then you want to destroy the party. And the fate that befalls those who want to, usually befalls those who want to destroy a party, is the fate that should be visited on such government.
Unmistakably, Babajide Otitojo. But let's just tell you quickly, I'm sure you noted it, Jide was having the same dress. So the only difference is the anchor was a woman. So we're saying Jide is not, this is not a smoke screen, it's not a Photoshop. Yeah,
yes, it's the same me. Talking about Adama, yeah. Perhaps this has become the Adama uniform. Adama, you see the ESCO of the APC in Adama is a joke. Where the ESCO of a party erects a billboard in front of the secretariat of the party proclaiming that Governor Jubrila Mohammed Bindo is the sole
candidate
of the party, literally banishing any form of competition against the governor. How do you take that kind of ESCO seriously? You can see why governors struggle to plant their own people in these executive positions, just so that they can ensure that competition does not take place. And Bindo was too scared to go into a contest with other people.
That's a word,
yes,
scared. Yeah.
I repeat it.
Okay.
The conduct of the governor, the conduct of the chairman of the APC in Adama, because I've been saying this for months. And I'm happy. Look at what they've done to them. Did you see them do the same thing to other people? Apart from what happened in Kwara, where they felt, oh, Saraki had left a lot of his people behind, and they decided to dissolve the ESCO, because the ESCO in Kwara was actually installed by Saraki. So when he moved on, they dissolved the ESCO, you know?
Naturally.
Yes. In this case, the party said the ESCO members in Adama State should not get involved in the primaries, either as delegates or as umpires. It's a massive shame. And they invited it. You can't do a billboard say, you as an umpire, do a billboard saying only the governor is entitled to contest. I mean, it makes no sense.
Sometimes I wonder if you were in the right profession. You know, you should have been
a lawyer.
Yeah, no. A prophet. So, reading the stars. So today, Adamawa has been asked, as predicted by him, to go the direct primaries way. But Dari, are governors necessarily behaving like tin gods, as he said?
Do
you see them?
I'll go with Babajide Otitojo on that. He nailed it. And in fact, since our return to democracy in 1999, it's as if this penchant by governors, state governors, to play God, I mean, it has been on the increase.
It's getting worse.
From 1999 to 2003, it wasn't this bad. 2003 to 2007, it got worse than it was. By 2011, we had...
Are we able to place a finger on the reason why? It was a gradual thing, as you're saying.
It's an age-long saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I want to believe that as our democratic experience...
In fact, the fear of losing power...
That's where I'm going.
It makes you become absolute.
Absolute.
Absolutism.
It seems that as our democratic experience gets strengthened, these governors started feeling more powerful than they actually are constitutionally. And some arrangements in our party politics where some party constitution, written and unwritten, says the governor is the leader of the party in his state, irrespective of the platform, the people, the leaders who helped him to emerge as governor.
Irrespective of the NWC,
the state
exco
executive,
in the state.
SEC. He is the leader of the party. This toga, I want to believe, intoxicates these people. If you look at, I don't want to mention names, but in a state, a governor sat down and decided that here we are going to do consensus. And he picked his pen.
Single-handedly drew up
Single-handedly.
the list.
You see, I was not told. I witnessed some of those things where he invites them to a location, either government house or and aspirants slept overnight waiting to be told who the consensus candidate. It's not as if there were deliberations or
imagine
discourse
that
or
nothing. The governorship hopefuls.
Not governorship. You see, governorship hopefuls.
The hopefuls, yes. And
every other position, waiting on the governor. And he had his pen in his hand. He is flanked by maybe the state party chairman and one other party chieftain, and he decides, no. No,
Emeka.
No. We will give it to Uche Madimere.
No. Already mentioned Electoral.
You're giving yourself away. Osogbo, we are giving it to...
It's making me think, I think that is referring to someone with the marquee-like cap.
Come on. You know that people have different types of caps.
Please, sometimes keep them guessing.
Sincerely, that we got to that stage. And you know, that he did that was actually not my worry. That he got away with it. Everybody seemed to have accepted it.
Oh, we can't say he got away with it now.
No, up to this point.
Yes,
that up to this point. I would have expected at that point that some of these people, but seamlessly he seems to have his way. Now, to show that our democracy is actually evolving,
all right,
the party at the national level said, we told you that we will accept your consensus if there are no objections.
Okay.
Now we have objection, Mr. Governor, go and do direct primary. It is beautiful, it is great. And it will reduce the way governors play God if we continue this way.
Emeka, not yet Uhuru. Yeah. In Adamawa, as indeed in many states across the land, in my state, there was the talk about a consensus candidate in Akwa Ibom, but I hear that is also ruffling a lot of feathers there. But what is the place of the elector in all of this? If it's a direct primary, Emeka, you expect the elector to now say, this is our chance.
Well, like just exactly what you said is an expectation. But of course, we know that the way politics is played in Nigeria is not something that gives hope for an outcome, for outcomes that favor the elector or the electors. You know, so you're talking of this APC choosing this route because it wants to eliminate vote buying, it wants to eliminate certain tendencies. But of course, you know, Nigerian politicians...
And instilling confidence.
Yes,
in the party.
It should be that way. But you see, you're dealing with Nigerian politicians who would want to do anything, go to any length to achieve their aspirations. Of course, we've seen a number of states what has gone on. You know, certain states where it's believed that, you know, where there are accusations that certain individuals don't want to allow certain people to emerge, you know, and so
the Imo example, the Imo state own is particularly interesting here.
Yes, the governor.
Madumere has won at the court,
so
he stands to be a likely candidate.
Yes,
right.
It's made that clear that
very likely if he plays his cards well, if he plays his cards well. But referring to something that Jide mentioned about, you know, why would the state executive do that? But you see, in Taraba State, the PDP executive adopted the governor and even showed it to the whole world. So you see,
at a time that there are people contesting against
him. But have you forgotten? Was it a Taraba State? It was the same Adamawa State. If you remember when Nyako emerged, that people were in the stadium, you know, waiting for the primaries to take place. When a call came from Abuja that this is the candidate, tell everybody to go home. It happened in this country, and the primaries were just the primary election was just.
To quote your Bible, in whom I'm well placed, hear ye him.
Yeah, but with a phone call I mean, so where are the electors?
PDP paid for the impunity.
No, that's what I'm talking about. No, that's what I'm talking
And
about.
that's what APC, in my own opinion, is trying to avoid.
Yeah.
You see, we had years of impunity in PDP. And any serious political party coming to power as a result of the failure of PDP should learn from those mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to believe very strongly that I've seen some, especially with the coming of Adams Oshiomhole as chairman of APC, I've seen some steps that suggest that he's really trying to avoid the pitfalls of PDP.
Let's look at some of those states. Ogun, direct primary. That's running against what is on the floor.
Consensus.
Zamfara too.
Zamfara.
It is
Akwa Ibom.
It is where the national ESCO of the party got a deluge of complaints and petitions. It is those states that they have said, go ahead and do direct travel. Because you can't, you know that in Zamfara, about 7 top members of the party got up against the governor to say, look, we are not going to allow you to bring your commissioner of finance to replace you. You know, people like Kabru Marafa and the rest of them, you know. So it went on, and the party must have felt, look,
we have to do something.
Let us do something. Let people feel that there's actually a level playing field, you know. So that's exactly why you have even Ogun State. You find that even a member, one of the governor's commissioners, is already challenging the decision, because everyone thinks that is good enough for that position. Especially those who serve the governor. They've seen how it is done, they work together. So if you suddenly pick someone from outside of the cabinet, for example, they are likely to think, what's going on? Give us a chance. You saw what happened in Kano. That case that we all felt, who abandoned Shekarau to team up with Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso refused to pick him. And when he refused to pick him, he refused to pick Dr. Hafiz, Professor Hafiz, the former deputy governor, who fought against the governor because of him, who resigned from the government because of him. So now both men have decided to go and take the governorship nomination from forgetting whether it makes their godfather happy or not. So this thing has really bred all kinds of disagreement, and I'm sure you are aware of what's happening in Kebbi State too, where the governor has made up his mind that you have up to 50-something people contesting, you now pick people. Now there is a petition against the governor that Oshiomhole is being asked to address, that the governor is not even qualified to hold that position in the first place on account of litigation, both in Nigeria and abroad.
Of course.
They even said that, based on that petition, they even said that there is an extradition order.
Of course.
On account of big-time offenses committed by the governor. So you have this situation.
You are now playing God.
Yes, so Oshiomhole has his work cut out for him. You want to hold the party together in an election year, then you must ensure that nobody feels left behind. Nobody feels sidelined in this whole process.
Dari, how much fire can you fight at a time like this?
Well, I don't envy Oshiomhole at a time like this. I saw some pictures emanating of him in Osun State, still on firefighting mission. Serious fire this time. Nearly belated.
Trying to secure
the situation. He's trying to save the situation.
I saw the breaking news that Omishere has agreed in principle to.
But the party has to walk beyond simply looking for, because the areas in question are actually not Omishere's stronghold. It's not the whole of Ife that Omishere controls. I know. That's why you see that even APC won in some parts of Ife.
But to quickly put this, the polling booths in question, before they were cancelled, Omishere did pretty well there. I was not sure. The polling booths.
Sorry.
One part.
Sorry. Let me take Yusuf.
Hold it.
Yusuf is here.
No, they didn't.
Yusuf wants to join issues or raise issues. Let's go, Yusuf. Welcome. Hello, Yusuf. Are we in business? No luck, yeah.
So I'm saying that it's not, you see,
not all,
APC
yes, right.
is traditionally strong in even some of those areas. You know, some parts of Ife, APC is strong, you know. So it's not in every part that Omishore is strong.
Not all.
And I'm saying that the area where that contest will take place, the bulk of the people living there are original Modakeke people. The Modakeke people have always voted for APC. So,
ACN.
yes, from way back, from way back.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
having him is just, it's not like that,
without
oh,
him-
he's the one who controls voter behavior in that area. No.
Anyway,
it's just,
Sorry, I hear Yusuf is here, finally. Yusuf, welcome. Yeah, welcome. Let's go.
Hello?
Yusuf, you're on. Go on.
Hello, my name is Yusuf.
We heard you first time. Let's go.
I'm calling from Yaba, Waya, precisely.
Go on, sir.
About the power testing governor, if you can want to recognize them, they all have executive governor, which is not constitutional.
No, what are you talking about? What? No, what, Yusuf, what are you talking about? No, come on, let's have a dialogue. What are we talking about?
Hello?
What are we talking about? We are talking about APC and what the NWC is ordering some...
Let me quickly round up what I want to say, summarize what I want to say, please. Journalist Hangout is a program we all love, but I have discovered that they should make journalists Hangout their school where they learn. And then, of course, the students in the university, especially those who are studying journalism, should use journalist Hangout as a case study. God bless you. Thank you very much for the program.
Bless you too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Emeka, so...
Yeah, well...
Don't forget, it was about firefighting. How much fire can you fight at just months to go before the election?
Yeah, but I know that definitely this situation is going to affect APC either way, whether it's direct primaries or indirect primaries, because, you know, politics is the biggest business in Nigeria. And so people putting so much energy,
it's an investment.
Resources, yeah, big investment, a lot of resources, and they don't want to lose either way. They don't want to lose anyway. And you're talking about governors who have gained ascendancy since 2003, like Darius said. You know, now these people have become so powerful, and you wouldn't expect that they will go down without a fight. Some may not defect, but they could work against the party in the elections. So how the party manages it is up to the leadership of the party and the chieftains of the party. But I know it's going to be a very big fire.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it tells me that the electorate remains in the doldrums because the power really belongs to him.
You see,
is it about, do we need a heightened voter education or what?
Moving on with the decision of APC to even toy with direct primary, I think we will need voters' education. But we should give it to the party for returning power to the real owners, the people. If a party is going to come up with a candidate for an election, and that party is saying, look, every member of our party should have a say in who becomes our candidate. That is beautiful. Irrespective of the shortfalls, the mistakes or the difficulties we may still envisage as we go into it, we should give kudos to APC for towing that line. It is at a time like this when we need to strengthen our democracy, we should appreciate what APC is doing with direct primary.
We must bury it here. Jide was going to add anything? No. All right. Okay. We are saying let the debate continue, but still to come, NLC tells workers to begin warning strike on Thursday over minimum wage. Are you game? We'll be back. Then let's go. An old American Federation of Law or Labor quote is one that talks about a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. But an old established refrain or chorus by organized labor unions, pep songs in our jurisdiction is solidarity forever. But whether there would be solidarity amongst Nigerian workers on Thursday, when the NLC rallies them for another nationwide strike, remains in the mind. It's official. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has directed workers to proceed on a nationwide warning strike on Thursday, September 26th, over a nagging minimum wage question. Can there be really a middle course over the minimum wage jigsaw? Can there be a middle course to be steered here?
Yeah, we don't have a choice. We have to increase the minimum wage. So government must negotiate with labor. It's a constitutional matter. And the law says that every 5 years, you should increase the minimum wage. And the last one happened in June 2011 under Goodluck Jonathan. So we have no choice. If we want to show respect to the Constitution, then we need to increase the Constitution.
How did Jonathan swing it?
He didn't
That you recall?
Well, of course, the Nigerian economy was a lot better at that time compared to what we have now. So
okay.
They didn't go through that much difficulty. But we have a situation in which the minister promises that, by the end of September, you will have a minimum wage. And you can see clearly that will not happen because the tripartite committee that should actually midwife a new minimum wage, we have the federal government has refused to reconvene the committee meeting.
But I hear the VP met them sometime last week.
Met which people?
He met labor leaders.
Labor leaders.
Not
the tripartite.
Yeah.
But labor leaders.
Labor's demand is that the tripartite committee, which will include the representative of governors from the 6 geopolitical zones, that it is that tripartite committee that can take a decision. It's not enough to just call labor leaders and begin to speak fantastic English to them. No. They are concerned about how a decision can be taken and how that decision can be taken in good time. So, and they know that the clearinghouse for that kind of decision is the tripartite committee. Or is it tripartite?
Tripartite.
Tripartite. No, me
I just didn't look
me. I know they pronounce. You na anchor. Now me I know the anchor. Me na to
sorry.
Tripartite.
Idea is need. Go on.
Idea is needs. Tripartite, as you said. Thanks. So the tripartite committee is the committee that can
made up of governors of the 6 geopolitical zones, labor,
representatives, labor
and government,
the presidency. Now, let me tell you the most important group within that tripartite committee is the governors. And we've seen the body language of these governors. They don't want this thing to happen. So, and as long as you continue to send the message
for reasons best known to them.
Politics is also a factor. This is an election year. It's a dangerous time to talk about minimum wage. Because if you set a minimum wage that is too low, that is not acceptable to labor, it can be an electoral issue. In fact, it will be an electoral issue. It will be a campaign issue for which the government could in fact be demarketed. So it is an emotive issue at this time. And I understand how government is treating this matter, that can we just kick this can down the road? Kick it further down the road so that by the time we are through with the election, we can come back to it. That's the way they are thinking. They didn't tell me that's the way they are thinking, but I suspect that that's the way they are thinking. But labor...
No, you are like Caesar's wife, always above
but labor thinks that, let this thing happen. You made a promise that in September, but the same minister who made that promise was the one who told us 2 months ago that governors are refused to come and sit and have us agree on a minimum wage. So labor can see that, look, it's like they are being taken for a ride. So how do they pile pressure? How do they get government to do something? So
that by going on strike?
Well, over the years, going on strike has been one of the ways to put pressure on any form of authority by workers. And this, to me, may not be an exception.
And I'm looking, I'm looking at Monday, a national holiday. and this warning strike, which will be 7 days or so.
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, that's like a fly in the ointment.
Let's also appreciate, that's something many people are not looking at. Let's also appreciate Labour with what they are about to do. That they are declaring a warning strike and not
a full-blown strike.
I want to appreciate them. And that they are declaring that at this time, I believe what they are trying to do is call attention to the abandoned discussions. You see, I was opportune to discuss with one of these outgoing governors, two-term governors, about this minimum wage. And what he said was quite shocking. That for all he cares, is it with all these financial problems his state is having, and many states are sharing, that somebody is talking about increasing the salary, that he and others will do everything possible to make sure this issue, this COP, pass over them. That those new governors that are coming should come and bother about that one. That is one of the reasons why the committee that should take that decision is not sitting. Some of our governors are trying to shy away from this responsibility.
And sometimes you cannot but be cynical to say, look, I'm looking forward to a headline, screaming headline, governor explodes over old salaries and so on.
Well, we may just get there. We may just get there. Soon.
Are you sure?
Sooner than we even...
Don't wait for Godot.
You see, if this, it's obvious now that this COP is not about to pass. Those who want to drink with the COP, Labour,
their strategy is clear to Labour.
The Labour understands the strategy, and they are now saying, look, we will get this thing done now. Either you guys like it or not. And that's why we are here.
The best time to push it is before the election.
Yeah.
It's now.
Where a lot of money will be crisscrossing.
And now the governors are not thinking about paying salaries or increasing salary. They're thinking about winning elections.
No, governance has taken a flight now.
No, until after this election, we don't have governance in this country.
Emeka, we can go back there. Is it feasible at a time like this to talk about a blanket minimum wage across board?
Yeah, if the Constitution says you should review the minimum wage within a certain period, of course, the Constitution is the supreme document for the country. And therefore, we must begin from that point, that we must obey the Constitution. We must respect the Constitution. Now, how we go about doing that must be worked out by...
Have you heard the counter logic that the finance base of so many states are not even something you want to write about? So look at it's like my people say, I hope this proverb won't hurt anybody here. Fowl no they lay egg way big pass in body, you know. So
in body, or they do get it right.
Okay, I'll go back to my books. So
or in Yash.
That's not English. Emeka, let's get serious.
But for me,
that seriously, that each state must look at.
Do you blame it on workers? Do you blame that on workers?
I was about to ask.
You don't blame it on workers.
Amend the Constitution.
Amend the Constitution, or
even governors are elected to manage the resources of their various states.
Was it not the same governors? Was it not the same governors? Was it not the same governors who opposed autonomy for local governments? Now, why, if you could oppose autonomy...
Many of them are the Senate. They are listening to you.
Yeah, if you could oppose autonomy for local governments, what it means is that you are ready to carry the burden of your state and of the local governments.
Yeah.
So please, negotiate with the workers and pay them. That your financial base is nothing to write home about. Is it the responsibility of the workers? It is your responsibility to manage your state well. And we know that governors have not been really upright in running the finances of their states.
Jide, is it possible there's any meeting ongoing as we speak here?
No, there was a meeting today. That one hit a dead end. So maybe tonight they will be called again. Our government has a way of stopping this kind of negative strike on the part of Labour by at the last minute, maybe at midnight, Meetings are best held at midnight. in our country. So maybe at midnight they will summon these people and make some promises to them. I just hope that we can stop a full-blown strike. With the economy in dire straits, a nationwide full-blown strike is not what anyone wants to see.
NLC must spare us this humdrum picture. We are going to be officially 58 years old as an independent country on Monday, October 1st. And the strike covers the period, warning strike. So as we take it home, we are saying time. Mahmoud is in Kebbi. Mahmoud, we were just about going to Passover. Let's have you, Mahmoud.
Okay.
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, go on.
Hello?
Mahmoud, go on.
Is he listening to?
Hello?
Let's go.
Okay. My own contribution to this minimum wage issue. My own contribution to this minimum wage issue is that how can the country, a president can be demanding us to be patient, and the country is telling us to be patient with 145 naira petrol. They increase the price of petrol, they lock down our borders, make life miserable for us, and yet they don't want to increase anything on it. We still go to this market with the same price.
All right.
We go to the market with the same money they give to us every time to buy things we're buying.
Yeah,
what are they trying to tell us?
Mahmoud, I hope you are ready. If the minimum wage is hiked, I hope you are ready for a rise in so many foodstuff, including your rent.
That's why government should always negotiate ahead. Don't wait for the last minute.
Yeah.
Negotiate
Otherwise, it becomes news, and everybody's there. Okay, then. First was the cheering news that our country had wriggled out of recession. Never mind that the story was shut down by the opposition. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is issuing a warning to the effect that our celebrated exit from a recession may be under threat. And this is owing to the slow growth in our gross domestic product, GDP, which has dropped from 1.95% to a paltry 1.5%. The other leg of CBN's interventionist alert is related to Nigeria's rising debt profile. Two reasons why countries borrow. Jide, there's the real reason why countries borrow, and there is the good reason.
The real reason.
And the good reason.
Yes, the real reason is that the country is broke. But that's not what anyone will tell you.
Yeah.
I remember our former finance minister said, no, that we are borrowing does not mean we are broke. But if you have the money and you have it in abundance, why would you want to go and take money from anyone? We already now, a significant portion.
I hear say a rich man, they borrow.
From who? From someone poorer than him?
And from the banks where the poor put their money.
So the thing is, I remember the VP writing to the Senate to ask for a loan of $500 million from China, as little as $500 million. Capital expenditure in our country is heavily dependent now on borrowed funds. So I've even been asking myself, because we talked about minimum wage now, are we going to borrow to pay minimum wage? Is that what is likely to happen if and when this we eventually get a new minimum wage? But going back to the fears of the CBN governor, you can see clearly even in that statement, the CBN governor complained about the need to put a cap on borrowing. We are taking loans, everybody is talking about it, but the people taking the loans are the only ones who appear to think that there is no big deal about it.
They are the ones who have the good reason.
Yes, but we have the reason. they have
the good one.
the good reason. So if the CBN governor can say, look, gentlemen, let's do something about borrowing. We are borrowing too much. I think that's significant because he is part of those who run this economy, and he knows that the fundamentals are weak. He knows that it's not good enough. In terms of the revenue coming in, we cannot justify these borrowings at the scale that we are going. So that's the point that the man is making. And if you look at, I think for more than 15 months or so, inflation was going down. And suddenly, it's gone up again. Inflation has gone up at a time when our GDP growth rate has slid to 1.5%. So if inflation continues to go up, it means also that it will affect our gross domestic product. And if that trend continues, our fundamentals continue to get weak. Honestly, we are going back to recession. If the next, I'm eager to see what the MBS will come up with in terms of our GDP growth rate and the inflationary trend for the next quarter. If we retain negative growth, then you can be sure that we are going back to a recession. And recession must not happen at this time. In an election year, when so much money we spend on election and all that, if it happens, to come out of it will be a lot difficult.
Dari, I hope the figure I have here is right. 22 trillion. Did you get the same figure?
Yeah.
We are owing. And we talk about...
That's about it.
We talk about domestic debt.
Aside that.
Which they say is calculated in local currency terms and so on. From state to state, the debts we are owing, choking, crippling.
And that's for a country coming out of recession, as the experts claim. You see, the CBN, under its governor, has once again come up to do this nation some good. I listened to a tape of a speech by former Finance Minister Okonjo-Iweala. She was addressing an international audience, and she spoke about the Jonathan years and said, at a point, she and the then CBN governor, Lamido Sanusi, advised the federal government to start saving. As professionals, as experts,
because the rains will come.
Recession coming.
Yeah.
She said they vigorously advised the federal government to start saving. She had it quickly.
This month to advised last month that we should start saving.
She had it quickly, but the governors refused. That the governors refused to agree to this saving arrangement, saying all monies must be shared.
Because that's what the Constitution says.
It is our money. Give us our money.
I want to bring something out of that.
That's what the Constitution says, that all money must be shared.
They are always eager.
162.
They are always eager to tell us that when they get into power, they will work with technocrats. They will bring experts on board. And they're always very happy to announce to us that so minister is an expert, this one is a technocrat. But they are never eager to listen to the professional advice of those people.
Yeah.
And that is one of the major reasons why we are here where we are. From experience.
But they said, you are told that by the experts too, if you line up all the economists in this country end to end, they still will not agree.
That's exactly what we are saying. That now that you have the governor of the central bank, your finance minister saying, look, let's put an end to this borrowing. Because I remember the immediate, the minister who resigned too, mentioned something.
The one in the UN.
Yeah. Saying,
Amina.
Look, we cannot continue to borrow. But the problem is that we are still not listening. Years after what happened with Okonjo-Iweala, we are in a situation where the governors are asking for even not just their money, but even bailouts. And these are governors who are owing 7 months, 8 months, 10 months salaries. And we keep borrowing, the GDP is going down, and we keep claiming that we are out of recession or going out of recession. If we allow this nation to slide back into economic difficulty at a time like this, Coming out of it will be
and this has task. Emeka, it has nothing to do with it is not our portion. Because it's not about prayers. But you know, experts, I hope I'm right here, have told us over time that the exchange rate of the naira is artificial. You know, it is the naira that takes the flogging in all of this thing.
Yeah, I had a discussion with a friend, you know, who lives in the U.S. some months ago, you know, sometime last year. And I was saying that the issue of the exchange rate is something that President Buhari needs to take beyond just fighting it, you know, through the economy and all of that. That there are certain diplomatic moves he can make to do something about the exchange rate. Now, bringing it back home, we need to really do more about investing in capital projects. The current expenditure is terrible. It's so high and it's unsustainable. There are certain projects that also the government, you know, at the federal level, at the state level, even local governments put money into, which are unsustainable. So you find a lot of abandoned projects all over the country, over 12,000, maybe they're up to 15,000 now, abandoned projects, and you still see government talking about, you still see governments at different levels, at the 3 levels, talking about new projects. Things like this affect the economy negatively. And the danger is this: if we slide into recession, remember that I said some minutes ago that governance has taken a back seat. If we slide into recession by the next quarter or in 2 quarters, remember, recession is when there is no growth for 2 consecutive quarters. So now we are heading to the last quarter of the year, which is October, November, December. Now, if there's no growth in the last quarter, and there's no growth January, February, March, the period where you have the elections, I wonder how it will be. And if you remember, go back, cast your mind back to 2015. What happened when the recession was already gripping? Before it took a long time before the finance minister admitted. She said we are technically in recession, but by then it had gripped the nation. And you also remember the budgeting, the politics about the budgeting was dragged so much that President Jonathan couldn't implement the budget. He had to hand it over to President Buhari. So you see, we need to really at this time sit down and think critically, or else we will be doing ourselves much injury if we just continue to pussyfoot, to pretend that all is well, like you said earlier.
Jide, you know, the thinking from the CBN is we must sustain the implementation of the budget, as he has talked about. You know, it's key. It's key.
And begin to implement it quickly. I think part of the problem is the non-implementation of the budget. If the Nigerian budget can be implemented up to 60%, I think many good things will happen. And then it takes so long before the budget gets passed and all that. That is a factor, you know.
Is that also politics?
It is politics, but part of it has to do with our nonchalant attitude to these things. The president had to order the ministers to go and defend their budgets. It's there at a point. Some of them were reluctant to come forward. Someone told me, oh, maybe it's because they are going to ask them for bribe. But the president had to order them to go and defend their budgets. So we delay these things, and at the end of the day, it has serious implications on the economy. Even for foreign exchange now in our country, there's a bit of pressure now because of foreign foreign portfolio investors that are beginning to move money.
Is it?
Because they don't know what will happen with
this election.
So they are beginning to move money. And then, of course, during the electoral season, you know, politicians, it's dollars that they give out. So there's a bit of pressure on the currency already. Nobody knows what will happen as we move closer and closer to the election. So a situation in which the fundamentals, the economic fundamentals are weak, it doesn't make one excited at all. It doesn't make one excited. And I don't think, if the government of the day has spent so much time castigating the PDP and accusing the PDP of pushing us to into a recession, if it happens on their watch, it happens on their watch, the blowback will be terrible, because Nigerians too will now say, oh, it is now 1-1 draw. That what the PDP pushed us into recession, we came out of it, and then APC brought us back into recession.
As we say, if succeeding governments never wasted time blaming the previous government for their woes, we won't be.
I am against constantly talking about the past government as if we are obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Just get on with the job. Get the job done. Accusing other people of not winning.
That's why you are there.
Yeah, look at what the VP said the other day, that all the government before this administration didn't do as much as this administration has done in the area of infrastructure. And I told myself, you can't say that about IBB.
With due respect,
IBB did well in the area of infrastructure. The third mainland bridge, we can see it there.
The VP was just playing politics.
We cannot, nobody at this time, with the kind of what we are going through now, nobody can do that third mainland bridge again.
No, right. But you are talking about a fourth mainland bridge. We have Usman here. Sorry, did I just say that?
Yes.
Usman, welcome. How are you?
We are fine. Thank you for your good job you are doing over there, Babakide and Co.
Thank you.
Really, let me not waste much of your time. I just want to contribute to the issue of this strike by the NLC. The issue of the minimum wage is the national constitutional matter, actually, that has to be reviewed after every 5 or 6 years, as case may be. But looking to what is happening between various states, it's like the NLC at the top are not carrying the state and local government along. Because even the last minimum wage, which is 18,000, most of the states are not yet paid. And the NLC have not done anything about it.
Yeah, Usman.
They have not done anything about it. And if now the federal government agreed to pay, let me say, 30,000, 50,000 as they are required, what about the state? And the state now, the national NLC are saying that all over the country they will go for strike. When we went for strike now to support labor, what is our benefit? We at the state and the local level.
Usman,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Usman, don't proceed on the strike until the NLC says so. It has said so. Wait for midnight. Please wait for midnight.
So let me round up by saying that what the CBN governor said a little over a month ago, that the current government should do its best to save so that we can have some cushion. Because what is saving us now is that oil prices are rising. In the last few days, between 80 to 82. $82. I mean, that's high. That's high. So what can we do? Can we even try to save some of what is coming in? But with this generation of governors, I might doubt that they will agree to save. You know?
Larry, how do you bury this?
I want to start with what he just said. Until and unless these are governors start thinking about Nigeria and not about themselves, and beginning to believe that we need to learn how not to hit with all our fingers. Come off your woman or and then we may not be out of
Only the crab is allowed to do that.
That's one. Secondly, I want to look at this NLC issue too quickly. The last caller made a very valid point.
Yeah.
Do you know, as he said, some states are yet to pay the last minimum wage. But all workers went on strike for it, battled for it, and got that. NLC immediately got that, forgot about implementation at the state and local government level. Now they are calling out workers for a new minimum wage. I hope and I pray that there will be no serious crack in the ranks of NLC itself as we go for this.
There is even crack. There are two factions of NLC.
I believe we need to do all we can. The government needs to do all it can to prevent us from going into another recession. It will not do the economy good. On the issue of the minimum wage, you see, I'm not saying that government must implement it immediately, but honestly, the Constitution says every 5 years. They had enough time to negotiate. I believe negotiation is very important. Let the tripartite committee meet. Let the governors show commitment, and then let them lay the cards on the table. Because the VP can only talk for the federal government. He can't talk for the states. He can't talk for the state governors. So I believe all hands must be on deck so that Nigeria doesn't go into another
we leave it there for today. Let's thank Babajide Kolade Otitojo for your time.
Okay, I greet you.
Dare Odufokan, many thanks. And Emeka Madunagu.
Thank you, viewers.
Okay, that's it. We must go back to our tables at home, away from this hangout, and think Nigeria, dream Nigeria. We're going to be 58. I can't wait for the celebration. I hope we can clink glasses rightly. That's all on the program for today. Another program is on tomorrow. Watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen now on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is the same. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye for now, and God bless you.